Well, welcome to another carol this week, and I'm going for Silent Night. It's so well known, and it's sung in 300 different languages plus, so I understand. It's a carol that is beloved partly because of its words, but also because of the very simple and beautiful tune that goes with it. And this idea of singing this in the peace of the church on a dark night with a candle is something that touches the heart. Of course, it has a great story behind it, all to do with the organ failing at St. Nicholas Church in Obendorf near Salzburg, and the curate realizing at some point in time that he was going to have to organise some kind of a service without using the organ, and therefore he was going to have to use some kind of guitar or something else for the music, and he hadn't really got that music sorted out. So he went to the organist and said, look, here's a poem that I wrote a couple of years ago. He was 26 years old, he'd only been ordained for a year. Here's a poem I wrote a couple of years ago. This is in 1818. Can you write some music for it? And Franz Xaver Gruber writes this music, which they then sing that evening to Silent Night, Holy Night, of course in German, been translated into English by 8 different translators at least. And the way it got kind of broadcast to the rest of the world is also quite interesting, in the sense that they sang it that Christmas, and that could have been just it, except that the guy who came to mend the organ came from his own town, Kapfrig, so I understand. And when he'd mended the organ, Moore played the tune that Gruber had written. And so impressed was he with the tune and the words that the organ builder took it back to his church. Well, in his church, there were the Von Trapp singers. No, there weren't. No, it wasn't the Von Trapp singers, but it was the Rainers singers and the Strassers singers, both families, who heard this and thought, this is something we could include in our portfolio of music. So they start singing it, and they get invited around the country. Eventually it gets to King William IV of Prussia, who hears it in 1834 and demands it to be sung for every Christmas thereafter in front of him. And eventually it gets taken to the United States, to England, translated and so on, and it's finally in our hymn book. Simple words, written, and interestingly, not particularly written, but first published in English in another Sunday school hymn book, rather than into a major adult hymn book. So the words were regarded at that time as being suitable for children rather than for adults. Simple words, Silent night, holy night, sleeps the world hid from sight, Mary and Joseph in stable bare, watch o'er the child beloved and fair, sleeping in heavenly rest, sleeping in heavenly rest. You do wonder how twee that might be of reality, because when babies are born, they aren't necessarily sleeping in heavenly rest. But there we are. Silent night, holy night, shepherds first saw the light, heard resounding clear and long, far and near the angel's song. Christ the Redeemer is here. Christ the Redeemer is here. Have that picture of the angels and the shepherds, but then a little bit of theology pushing in there, Christ the Redeemer is here. And then lastly, Silent Night, Holy Night, Son of God. Oh, how bright. This is now a little bit deeper in theology. We are talking about what Christians now believe, that this baby that was born at Bethlehem is the Son of God. Love is smiling from your face, strikes for us now the hour of grace, the moment at which God's kindness, grace, is shown to the whole world. We understand from that point on what the nature of God truly is, and that is that God is love. Saviour, since you were born. Saviour, since you were born. Only since then do we really, really know what God is like. And here it is.